Have you ever stopped to think about why we're the only humans around? I mean, really think about it. For most of history, our planet was buzzing with different kinds of human beings, and we were just one of them. So how did we, Homo sapiens, end up as the last one standing? Well, that's the incredible secret we're going to uncover, based on Yuval Noah Harari's amazing book, Sapiens.
Right. This is the big question, isn't it? We just take it for granted that it's always been this way. One planet, one type of human. But it turns out our solitude is, well, it's actually kind of weird. And it's a very, very recent thing. So what on earth happened to all our human cousins?
That's the thing. You know that classic picture of evolution? The one showing an ape slowly standing up and turning into a modern person? You can pretty much just toss that idea out. The reality was way messier, and honestly, a lot more exciting. For most of our time on Earth, the planet was a bustling place, totally packed with different human species living at the same time.
Okay, just take a look at this. For millions of years, having lots of human species around was just normal. I mean, get this. 100,000 years ago, which is basically a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms, there were at least 6 different types of humans sharing the planet. The fact that it's just us now, that's a brand new phenomenon, only in the last 13,000 years. It's wild.
So who were these other people? Let's meet a few of our long-lost relatives. You had the famous Neanderthals in Europe and Asia, the big, brawny ones built for the cold. Over in Asia, you had Homo erectus, the ultimate survivors who stuck around for almost 2 million years. And we're still finding more, like the mysterious Denisovans in Siberia and even a species of tiny humans, nicknamed hobbits, on an island in Indonesia. The world was a patchwork of different ways to be human.
So if the world was full of these other, often stronger, human species, how did we end up on top? The story actually starts with a pretty big paradox. We were the underdogs.
Seriously, if you put one of our sapiens ancestors next to a Neanderthal, you'd probably bet on the Neanderthal every time. They were just more impressive. They were bigger, way more muscular, and heck, even their brains were a bit larger. We, on the other hand, were kind of scrawny and weak in comparison. In a one-on-one fight, yeah, we probably would have gotten crushed.
And this is where it gets really clever. That very weakness, it wasn't a disadvantage. It turns out it was our secret weapon. Our survival didn't happen in spite of being weak. It happened because of it. This was the push that forced us to play a completely different game.
I mean, think about it. When you're not the strongest one out there, you can't go it alone. A single sapiens was an easy target. So if we wanted to hunt a giant mammoth, or just, not get eaten, we had to get creative. We had no choice but to team up. And that constant pressure to cooperate, to build bigger and smarter groups, well, that was the spark that was about to change everything.
But just needing to cooperate isn't enough. Something else had to happen to unlock our potential for mass cooperation. This next part of the story isn't about muscle at all. It's all about the mind. And it brings us to what might be the single most important moment in the history of our species.
Okay, so let's rewind the clock to about 70,000 years ago. For over 100,000 years before this, sapiens were fine. We were around, but we weren't doing anything all that special. And then, all of a sudden, bam, something clicks. We start creating things, innovating, and spreading across the world in ways we never had before.
This is what Harari calls the cognitive revolution. We're not 100% sure what caused it, but the leading theory is some kind of accidental genetic mutation, a fluke that basically rewired our brains. And this happy accident gave us a completely new way of thinking, and crucially, a new way of communicating. And just to be clear, it's not like our brains suddenly got bigger. This wasn't a hardware upgrade. It's much better to think of it like a massive software update. Suddenly our brains could run all this new programming that let us use language in a way that was completely new to planet Earth.
So what was this incredible new software? What was our new linguistic superpower? Well, it was something that sounds almost ridiculously simple. It was the ability to talk about things that aren't real.
This right here, this is the core of the entire argument. We learned how to create and, more importantly, believe in fiction, what Harari calls imagined realities. A lion? That's real. You can see it, touch it, get eaten by it. But what about a tribal spirit? Or a god? Or a nation? Or money? You can't touch those things. They only exist because we all agree they do, in our shared imagination.
And this quote from Harari just nails it. You see, any animal can communicate, "Watch out, there's a lion."
That's useful, for sure. But only sapiens could say something like, "The great lion spirit is the guardian of our tribe." Now that is a story. That's a myth. And that is an absolute game changer because it creates a shared identity and a common purpose.
And you can see how this all plays out here. This new ability to talk about fiction, to tell stories, it leads directly to these two incredible results. First, you get cooperation between massive numbers of people who have never even met. And second, you get a society that can change and adapt incredibly fast.
See, for every other social animal, including our human cousins, there is a hard limit on cooperation. You can only really trust the people you know personally, maybe 150 folks max. But with a shared story, a shared myth, you can unite thousands, even millions of strangers. You don't have to personally know every single person in your country to trust that the money you're using is valuable.
And hey, this isn't just a theory. We've got the archaeological proof. Look at this thing. It's called the Lion Man statue, and it's over 30,000 years old. It's got the body of a human and the head of a lion, a creature that only exists in the imagination. This is physical evidence of our ancestors using their new cognitive superpower to create shared realities.
So, armed with this unique ability to unite through fiction, sapiens start to spread out of Africa once more. And this time, the world would never be the same.
This map tells a pretty stark story. Just follow the arrows showing our migration. As sapiens move into Europe and Asia, the Neanderthals and Denisovans who live there just disappear. When we finally reach the islands of Indonesia, Homo erectus and the hobbits vanish too. The pattern is undeniable. Wherever sapiens went, other humans went extinct.
So what exactly went down? There are two main theories. The interbreeding theory says we all just merged together. The replacement theory says we drove them to extinction, either through conflict or by just outcompeting them for food and land. And today, the genetic evidence suggests it was mostly replacement. We might have interbred a tiny bit, but for the most part, we took over. Ultimately, our advantage was social. A group of 500 sapiens, all united by a common myth, could easily outmaneuver 50 Neanderthals working in small, separate family groups. We could coordinate complex hunting strategies, build huge trade networks, and invent new tactics on the fly. We were, simply put, a more effective team.
And being the only humans left has profoundly shaped who we are. It makes us feel special, like we're separate from the rest of the animal kingdom. We forget that for most of our history, we were just one human species among many. Our feeling of uniqueness is really an illusion, born from the extinction of our closest relatives.
And that leaves us with one final haunting question. Imagine a world where we weren't alone. What if the Neanderthals had survived? What would our societies look like? Would our religions, our cultures, our very concept of humanity itself be different? It's a profound thought that forces us to reconsider what it truly means to be human.